What's wrong?
I don't know. But I'm sure we're better off out than in. Bring that chain.
Hang on, James.
The thought had occurred to me.
Right, video number 2 of the day. Let's get it, guys. So welcome back to Mr. Alright Movie Reviews and our Bond Rewind series. Today we are blasting into Moonraker, Roger Moore's 1979 cosmic adventure as 007. From riding a horse, dressed like the man with no name, to shooting lasers out of a spaceship, did they push this Bond too far? Let's unpack the space battles, villains, and 70s escapism in just 5 minutes, he says. Liar! The film launches with Shirley Bassey's Moonraker, a lush, dreamy ballad, her third Bond theme after Goldfinger and Diamonds Are Forever. It peaked at number 32 on the UK chart, perhaps showing its weakness in comparison to prior tracks. While not as iconic as Nobody Does It Better, Bassey's soulful delivery captures the film's mix of romance and cosmic ambition. It's a classy throwback that grounds the sci-fi excess, cementing her as a Bond music legend for 70s audiences, being the only musician to have recorded 3 Bond songs. Not 1, 3. Pretty impressive to be called back 3 times. Roger Moore leans hard into his suave, campy 007, delivering quips and charm floating around in zero gravity.
James,
I think it may be time to go home.
take me around the world one more time.
Why not?
In Moonraker, he is the ultimate playboy spy, navigating space stations and exotic locales with effortless cool. Moore's comedic timing shines in absurd scenarios, like the laser battles, making Bond a 70s caricature of wit and style. Although lacking Connery's grit and maybe Craig's depth, his breezy charisma keeps audiences hooked, perfectly suiting the era's over-the-top vibe, though some crave a grounded edge amidst the interstellar anthem. I was speaking to my mum about this before I wrote the script, and she's always said that this is her guilty pleasure Bond. Yes, it's outrageous, and someone clearly behind the scenes just said, more, give us more spectacle. But it's just a crazy 70s, almost kids action sci-fi film, and there is nothing like it. She isn't wrong. There is nothing like it. You'll probably never see a film like this. Moore is joined by Lois Chile as Holly Goodhead, a sharp CIA astronaut, and Richard Keel as Jaws, returning as a fan favourite henchman who turns ally in a surprising, albeit comically cringe twist. Michael Lonsdale's Hugo Drax is a cold, genocidal villain plotting a eugenics-based New World Order from space. Like I say, more.
Am I happy with that? No, I'm not! I want more!
But it is kind of cool in a way. If you're going into space, you have to have a pretty extreme villain. So I rate that they committed to it, you know? The plot follows Bond investigating a stolen space shuttle, uncovering Drax's plan to wipe out humanity, and end up hitchhiking to his space station to stop the destruction of Earth. Yes, it is a bit much, but adequately, the gadgets go wild, with wrist dart guns, laser rifles, and a Death Star-inspired laser. The space battle and Rio chase are pure spectacle, and fun fact, Moonraker rode the Star Wars sci-fi wave, seeing its global success in 1978 and desperately trying to get kids obsessed into the theatres and watching James Bond. Like I say, Moonraker amplifies Moore's era of excess and escapism, taking The Spy Who Loved Me's spectacle to absurd heights with the spacebound stakes. Jaws' arc is just as hysterical, and Drax's megalomaniacal plot cements Moore's run as peak camp, moving further away from Connery's realism towards fantastical escapism. However, it did draw criticism, with legacy fans from wanting to return to the Connery era format that defined Bond, setting the stage for Your Eyes Only, grounded pillar, and defining the late 70s as Bond's wildest period.
Open the cargo doors.
You can't dispute that. This era's humour and extravagance peak here, starkly contrasting his successor Dalton's grit.
Heartbroken, Mr. Drax. Allow me. Take a giant step for mankind.
And listen, you can't say they didn't succeed because Moonraker grossed $210 million worldwide on a $34 million budget. A huge hit for 1979, and it definitely drew people back into the theatres. It drooped on reviews though, and scored just 59% from critics as well as 43% from audiences on Rotten Tomatoes. It is praised for George's return and the more grounded start of the film, as well as Moore's charm, but it is panned for the silly plot and the sci-fi excess. People say it should have just stuck to James Bond rather than rode the Star Wars wave. I don't blame you for thinking that, it's totally fair and a valid criticism, but at the same time, like I mentioned in my Die Another Day video, sometimes you do have to stumble to know how to do it right, if that makes sense. Yes, they probably shouldn't have gone into space ever, but let's say you made a film in 1977, it didn't do as well as some of the better Bonds in terms of critics and box office, and then you see Star Wars take over the world. They probably thought the world was going to change. There is obviously more than enough room for James Bond and Star Wars to coexist, but at the time people didn't know that. You have to give them credit and room for trying, I think. But listen, I'm not going to sit here and disagree with your criticisms against the film or the majority of those criticisms that I've highlighted today, but I'm also not going to tell you what you want to hear. I had a lot of fun watching this film, and as a result I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Yes, the little yellow spacesuits and laser battles they looked awful, but if you look at it as the way my mum does, and you think this was probably all decided by someone whose son was absolutely obsessed with Star Wars and would not let up on his dad sending Bond to space, I think that's kind of beautiful, because they really did go all out for this film, and I think it's great for kids. But what are your thoughts? Do you hate the over-the-top excess, or are you also someone who appreciates this as a one-off adventure for 007? Let me know in the comments below, because that is Moonraker orbiting away, and next time is For Your Eyes Only, Moore's back to Earth mission. So if Bond Rewind has got you buzzing, then smash the like button and subscribe for our 26th episode ranking. We're almost there, and I am so grateful for all of your views and likes that are coming in. I love having these conversations with you in the comments, especially from people who, I think on my first Roger Moore film, I had somebody who said this was their first film they saw in the cinema. That's awesome. I love to know these things, so please let me know down below. But yeah, that's it. You can watch my playlist of all my videos in the description below. I've also got a separate playlist on the channel for the whole Bond Rewind series, if you want to catch up, or if you want to wait until I've finished them all, by all means go ahead and do that. But thanks for watching, my friends, all the way to the end. Stay alright, you are a legend. Take care, my friends.